Transcriber's note: printer errors in the Italian sonnets are noted in the transcriber's note at the end of this file, along with a list of the corresponding sonnet numbers in Il Canzoniere. Introduction Sonnets. Title page. 15 Sonnets of Petrarch. Selected and translated by Thomas Wentworth Higginson, published by Houghton Mifflin and Company, Boston and New York, MCI. Copyright 1900 and 1903 by Thomas Wentworth Higginson, all rights reserved. Introduction. Note: this introduction is based essentially upon a paper, Sunshine and Petrarch, which originally included most of the sonnets in this volume. It was written at Newport, Rhode Island, where the translator was then residing. Introduction. Decorative N. Near my summer home there is a little cove or landing by the bay, where nothing larger than a boat can ever anchor. I sit above it now, upon the steep bank, knee-deep in buttercups, and amid grass so lush and green that it seems to ripple and flow instead of waving. Below lies a tiny beach, strewn with a few bits of driftwood and some purple shells, and so sheltered by projecting walls that its wavelets plash but lightly. A little farther up the sea breaks more roughly over submerged rocks, and the waves lift themselves, before breaking, in an indescribable way, as if each gave a glimpse through a translucent window, beyond which all ocean's depths might be clearly seen, could one but hit the proper angle of vision. On the right side of my retreat a high wall limits the view, while close upon the left the crumbling parapet of Fort Greene stands out into the foreground, its verdant scarps so relieved against the blue water that each inward-bound schooner seems to sail into a cave of grass. In the middle distance is a white lighthouse, and beyond lie the round tower of old Fort Lewis, and the soft low walls of Connecticut. Behind me an oriole chirrups in triumph amid the birch trees which wave around the house of the haunted window. Before me a kingfisher pauses and waits, and a darting blackbird shows the scarlet on his wings. Sloops and schooners constantly come and go, careening in the wind, their white sails taking, if remote enough, a vague blue mantle from the delicate air. Sailboats glide in the distance, each a mere white wing of canvas, or coming nearer, and glancing suddenly into the cove, are put as suddenly on the other tack, and almost in an instant seem far away. There is today such a live sparkle on the water, such a luminous freshness on the grass, that it seems, as is often the case in early June, as if all history were a dream, and the whole earth were but the creation of a summer's day. If Petrarch still knows and feels the consummate beauty of these earthly things, it may seem to him some repayment for the sorrows of a lifetime that one reader, after all this lapse of years, should choose his sonnets to match this grass, these blossoms, and the soft laps of these blue waves. Yet any longer or more continuous poem would be out of place today. I fancy that this narrow cove prescribes the proper limits of a sonnet, and when I count the lines of ripple within yonder projecting wall, there proves to be room for just 14. Nature meets our whims with such little fitnesses. The words which build these delicate structures of Petrarch's are as soft and fine and close-textured as the sands upon this tiny beach, and their monotone, if such it be, is the monotone of the neighboring ocean. Is it not possible, by bringing such a book into the open air, to separate it from the grimness of commentators, and bring it back to life and light in Italy? The beautiful earth is the same as when this poetry and passion were new, there is the same sunlight, the same blue water and green grass. Yonder pleasure boat might bear, for aught we know, the friends and lovers of 5 centuries ago. Petrarch and Laura might be there, with Boccaccio and Fiammetta as comrades, and with Chaucer as their stranger guest. It bears, at any rate, if I know its voyagers, eyes as lustrous, voices as sweet. With the world thus young, beauty eternal, fancy free, why should these delicious Italian pages exist but to be tortured into grammatical examples? Is there no reward to be imagined for a delightful book that can match Browning's fantastic burial of a tedious one? When it has sufficiently basked in sunshine, and been cooled in pure salt air, when it has bathed in heaped clover, and been scented, page by page, with melilot, cannot its beauty once more blossom, and its buried loves revive? Emboldened by such influences, at least let me translate a sonnet, Lieti fiori e felici, and see if anything is left after the sweet Italian syllables are gone. Before this continent was discovered, before English literature existed, when Chaucer was a child these words were written. Yet they are today as fresh and perfect as these laburnum blossoms that droop above my head. And as the variable and uncertain air comes freighted with clover scent from yonder field, so floats through these long centuries a breath of fragrance, the memory of Laura. Goethe compared translators to carriers, who convey good wine to market, though it gets unaccountably watered by the way. The more one praises a poem, the more absurd becomes one's position, perhaps, in trying to translate it. If it is so admirable, is the natural inquiry, why not let it alone? It is a doubtful blessing to the human race that the instinct of translation still prevails, stronger than reason, and after one has once yielded to it, then each untranslated favorite is like the trees round a backwoodsman's clearing, each of which stands, a silent defiance, until he has cut it down. Let us try the axe again. This is to Laura singing, Quando Amor. As I look across the bay, there is seen resting over all the hills, and even upon every distant sail, an enchanted veil of palest blue, that seems woven out of the very souls of happy days, a bridal veil, with which the sunshine weds this soft landscape in summer. Such and so indescribable is the atmospheric film that hangs over these poems of Petrarch's. There is a delicate haze about the words, that vanishes when you touch them, and reappears as you recede. How it clings, for instance, round this sonnet, Orace calcium. Consider also the pure and reverential tenderness of one like this, Qual donna attend. A companion sonnet, on the other hand, O passi sparsi, seems rather to be of the Shakespearean type. The successive phrases set sail, one by one, like a yacht squadron, each spreads its graceful wings and glides away. It is hard to handle this white canvas without soiling. MacGregor, in the only version of this sonnet which I have seen, abandons all attempt at rhyme, but to follow the strict order of the original in this respect is a part of the pleasant problem which one cannot bear to forego. And there seems a kind of deity who presides over this union of languages, and who sometimes silently lays the words in order, after all one's poor attempts have failed. Yonder flies a kingfisher, and pauses, fluttering like a butterfly in the air, then dives toward a fish, and, failing, perches on the projecting wall. Doves from neighboring dovecots alight on the parapet of the fort, fearless of the quiet cattle who find there a breezy pasture. These doves, in taking flight, do not rise from the ground at once, but, edging themselves closer to the brink, with a caution almost ludicrous in such airy things, thrust themselves upon the breeze with a shy little hop, and at the next moment are securely on the wing. How the abundant sunlight inundates everything! The great clumps of grass and clover are embedded in it to the roots, it flows in among their stalks, like water, the lilac bushes bask in it eagerly, the topmost leaves of the birches are burnished. A vessel sails by with plash and roar, and all the white spray along her side is sparkling with sunlight. Yet there is sorrow in the world, and it reached Petrarch even before Laura died, when it reached her. One exquisite sonnet, I vidi in terra, shows this to have been true. These sonnets are in Petrarch's earlier manner, but the death of Laura brought a change. Look at yonder schooner coming down the bay straight toward us, she is hauled close to the wind, her jib is white in the sunlight, her larger sails are touched with the same snowy luster, and all the swelling canvas is rounded into such lines of beauty as scarcely anything else in the world, hardly even the perfect outlines of the human form, can give. Now she comes up into the wind, and goes about with a strong flapping of her sails, smiting on the air at a half-mile's distance, then she glides off on the other tack, showing the shadowed side of her sails, until she reaches the distant zone of haze. So changed the sonnets after Laura's death, growing shadowy as they recede, until the very last, Gli occhi di Cio Parli, seems to merge itself in the blue distance. And yet I live. Ed io per vivo. What a pause is implied before these words with which the closing sestet of this sonnet begins. The drawing of a long breathy immeasurably long, like that vast interval of heartbeats which precedes Shakespeare's since Cleopatra died. I can think of no other passage in literature that has in it the same wide spaces of emotion. Another sonnet, Soliasi nel mio cor, which is still more retrospective, seems to me the most stately and concentrated in the whole volume. It is the sublimity of a despair not to be relieved by utterance. In a later strain, Levami il mio pensier,
he rises to that dream which is more than earth's realities.
It vindicates the emphatic reality and personality of Petrarch's love, after all, that when from these heights of vision he surveys and resurveys his life's long dream, it becomes to him more and more definite, as well as more poetic, and is farther and farther from a merely vague sentimentalism. In his later sonnets, Laura grows more distinctly individual to us, her traits show themselves as more characteristic, her temperament more intelligible, her precise influence upon Petrarch clearer. What delicate accuracy of delineation is seen, for instance, in the sonnet, Dulci Durez. In the sonnet, Gli angeli eletti, visions multiply upon visions. Would that one could transfer into English the delicious way in which the sweet Italian rhymes recur and surround and seem to embrace each other, and are woven and unwoven and interwoven, like the heavenly hosts that gathered around Laura. Petrarch's odes and sonnets are but parts of one symphony, leading us through a passion strengthened by years and only purified by death, until at last the graceful lay becomes an anthem and an nunc dimittis. In the closing sonnets Petrarch withdraws from the world, and they seem like voices from a cloister, growing more and more solemn till the door is closed. This is one of the last, Dicini spesso. How true is its concluding line! Who can wonder that women prize beauty, and are intoxicated by their own fascinations, when these fragile gifts are yet strong enough to outlast all the memories of statesmanship and war? Next to the immortality of genius is that which genius may confer upon the object of its love. Laura, while she lived, was simply one of 100 or 1,000 beautiful and gracious Italian women. She had her loves and aversions, joys and griefs. She cared dutifully for her household, and embroidered the veil which Petrarch loved. Her memory appeared as fleeting and unsubstantial as that of woven tissue. After 5 centuries we find that no armor of that iron age was so enduring. The kings whom she honored, the popes whom she revered are dust, and their memory is dust, but literature is still fragrant with her name. An impression which has endured so long is ineffaceable, it is an earthly immortality. Time is the chariot of all ages to carry men away, and beauty cannot bribe this charioteer. Thus wrote Petrarch in his Latin essays, but his love had wealth that proved resistless, and for Laura the chariot stayed. Sonnets. I. Lieti fiori e felici, e bennate urbi, che Madonna, pensando, premersol, piaggia ch ascolti su dolci parole, e del bel pedi alcun vestigio serb, schieti arbacelli, e verdi frondia serb, amorosetti polide viol, ambros selve, ov percote el sol, che sixefeco suoi raggi alti e superbi, soave contrada, o puro fiume, che bagni el suo bel viso e gliacci chiari, e prendi qualita del vivo lume, quanto vi invidio gli atti onesti e cari. Non fia in voi scolio o mai che per costume darter con la mia fiamma non impari. Dots. I. O joyous, blossoming, ever-blessed flowers! Mid which my pensive queen her footstep sets, O plain, that hold'st her words for amulets and keep'st her footsteps in thy leafy bowers. O trees, with earliest green of springtime hours, and all spring's pale and tender violets. O grove, so dark the proud sun only lets his blithe rays gild the outskirts of thy towers. O pleasant countryside! O limpid stream, that mirrorest her sweet face, her eyes so clear, and of their living light canst catch the beam. I envy thee her presence pure and dear. There is no rock so senseless but I deem it burns with passion that to mine is near. Dots. 2. Quando amore begliacci a terra incina I veghi spurti in sospiro accigli con le umani, e poi in voce gli saigli chiara, soave, angelica, divina, sento far del mio sior dolce rapina, e si dentro cangier pensieri e vagli, ci dico, or fiendimi l'ultime spagli, se el ciel si onesta mort mi destina. Ma el swan, che di dolcezza I sensi liga, col grandesser di udendo esser beata, l'anima, al diparter presta, refrena. Così ne vivo, e così avvolgi spiega lo stain della vita che mi data, questa sola for noi del ciel serena. Dots. 2. When love doth those sweet eyes to earth incline, and weaves those wandering notes into a sigh with his own touch, and leads a minstrelsy clear-voiced and pure, angelic and divine, he makes sweet havoc in this heart of mine, and to my thoughts brings transformation high, so that I say, my time has come to die, if fate so blessed to death for me design. But to my soul, thus steeped in joy, the sound brings such a wish to keep that present heaven, it holds my spirit back to earth as well. And thus I live, and thus is loosed in womb the thread of life which unto me was given by this soul siren who with us doth dwell. Dots. 3. Orice calcium biondi cresp cercandi e movi, ias massa de loro sobment, e spargi quel dolce oro, e poi el racogli in bei nodi el rincresp, tuste negliacion amoros vespmi pungency, che fin qua el sento e ploro, e vacillando circo el mio tesoro, cum animal che spesuadum cesp, ch or melpar retrovar, ed, or emicorgoci any sun lunge, or mi salivo, or cagio, ch or quel chi bramo, or quel ch vero, scorgo. Air felice, col bel vivo raggio rimantai. E2, currenti e chiaro gorgo, che non passaio cangier tico viaggio? Dots. 3. Sweet air, that circlest round those radiant tresses, and floatest, mingled with them, fold unfold, deliciously, and scatterest that fine gold, then twinest it again, my heart's dear jesses, thou lingerest on those eyes, whose beauty presses stings in my heart that all its life exhaust, till I go wandering round my treasure lost, like some scared creature whom the night distresses. I seem to find her now, and now perceive how far away she is, now rise, now fall, now what I wish, now what is true, believe. O happy air! Since joys enrich thee all, rest thee, and thou, O stream too bright to grieve. Why can I not float with thee at thy call? Dots. 4. Qual donna attenda gloriosa fama di seno, di valor, di cortesia, miri fiso negliacia quella mia nemica, che mia donna el mondo chiama. Cum essequista wonder, cum dios me, cum e junta honesta con legiadria, ivia simpera, e quale drita via di gur el ciel, che le aspetta e brama. Ivia el parlar che nullo stile guaglia, e el bel tessera, e che santi costumi ch ingegno human non puo spigar in cart. L'infinita bellezza, ch altrui abalia, non success impera, che dulci lumi sacquistan per ventura e non per arte. Dots. 4. Doth any maiden seek the glorious fame of chastity, of strength, of courtesy? Gaze in the eyes of that sweet enemy whom all the world doth as my lady name. How honor grows, and pure devotion's flame, how truth is joined with graceful dignity, there thou mayst learn, and what the path may be to that high heaven which doth her spirit claim, there learn that speech, beyond all poet's skill, and sacred silence, and those holy ways unutterable, untold by human heart. But the infinite beauty that all eyes doth fill, this none can learn. Because its lovely rays are given by God's pure grace, and not by art. Dots. V. O passi sparsi, o pensier vaghi e pronti, o tenes memoria, o ferro ardor, o passat desire, o debil cor, o acimi, achinangia, ma fonti, o frond, wonder del famos fronti, o sola insegna el gemino valori, o faticosa vita, o dolce error, che mi fate ir cercando pieghi monti, o bel viso, o via mor insiim pos gli sproni el fren, ondi mi pungivolf come lui pies, e calcitra non veil, o anime gentili et amoros, salcuna hiel mondo, e voi nud ombri polv, deri state. Vetter qual a el mio male. Dots. V. O wandering steps. O vague and busy dreams. O changeless memory. O fierce desire. O passion strong. Heart weak with its own fire, O eyes of mine. Not eyes, but living streams, O laurel boughs. Whose lovely garland seems the sole reward that glory's deeds require. O haunted life. Delusion sweet and dire, that all my days from slothful rest redeems, O beauteous face! Where love has treasured well his whip and spur, the sluggish heart to move at his least will, nor can it find relief.
O souls of love and passion!
If ye dwell yet on this earth, and ye, great shades of love,
linger, and see my passion and my grief.
Dots. 6. I vidi in terra angelis I costumi e celesti bellezza el mondo sol, tel che di rimembermi Giova e dol, che quan io miro par sogni, amberi fumi.
I vidi lagrimar che duo be lumi, John fatto mil vol invidia el sol, ed udii sosperando dar parol che fari in gurimani e stare fumi.
Amor, seno, valor, pite di doglia facian piangendo un più dolce concento d'ogni altro che nel mondo uter se soglia, ed era il cielo all'armonia si intento, che non se vidia en remo mover foglia, tanta dolcezza avia pan l'aria il vento. Dots. 6. I once beheld on earth celestial graces and heavenly beauties scarce to mortals known, whose memory yields nor joy nor grief alone, but all things else in cloud and dreams effaces. I saw how tears had left their weary traces within those eyes that once the sun outshone. I heard those lips, in low and plaintive moan, breathe words to stir the mountains from their places. Love, wisdom, courage, tenderness, and truth made in their morning strains more high and dear than ever wove soft sounds for mortal ear, and heaven seemed listening in such saddest truth the very leaves upon the bough to soothe, such sweetness filled the blissful atmosphere. Dots.
7. Gliaci di cio parlai si caldamente, e la brassia e la mani I piti el viso che amavian si de mi stesso diviso e fatto singular dal ultrahante, la crest chion duer puro lucenti, e l'ampeggier dell'angelico riso che soli in far in terra un paradiso, poca polvere sun, che nulla sente. Ed io per vivo, onde mi doglio e stegno, rimesso senzet el lum ch mai tanto, in gran fortuna and disarmato legno. Ora sai che fine el mio amoroso canto, seca e la vina dell'usato ingegno, e la cetera mia rivolta in pianto.
Dots.
7.
Those eyes, 'neath which my passionate rapture rose, the arms, hands, feet, the beauty that erewhile could my own soul from its own self beguile, and in a separate world of dreams enclose, the hair's bright tresses, full of golden glows, and the soft lightning of the angelic smile that changed this earth to some celestial isle, are now but dust, poor dust, that nothing knows. And yet I live. Myself I grieve and scorn, left dark without the light I loved in vain, adrift in tempest on a bark forlorn, dead is the source of all my amorous strain, dry is the channel of my thoughts outworn, and my sad harp can sound but notes of pain. Dots.
8. Soliaci nel mio sior star bella e viva, comulta donna in loco umili basso, or son fatio per l'ultimo sua passo, non per mortal ma morto, ed ella e diva. L'alma di ogni sua ben spogliata e priva, amor della sua luz ignudo e caso debrian della pieta romper un sasso, ma non e chi lor duol ricantio scriva, che piangan dentro, ovi ogni orecchia e sorda, se non la mia, si ui tanta doglia ingambra, ch altro che sosperer, nulla imavanza. Verament siam noi polvera ad ombra, verament la voglia e sica ingorda, verament folle se la speranza.
Dots.
8.
She ruled in beauty o'er this heart of mine, a noble lady in a humble home, and now her time for heavenly bliss has come, 'tis I am mortal proved, and she divine. The soul that all its blessings must resign, and love whose light no more on earth finds room might rend the rocks with pity for their doom, yet none their sorrows can in words enshrine, they weep within my heart, no ears they find save mine alone, and I am crushed with care, and naught remains to me save mournful breath. Assuredly but dust and shade we are, assuredly desire is mad and blind, assuredly its hope but ends in death.
Dots. 9. Lavami il mio pensier in part oviera quella ch'io cerco e non ritrovo in terra, ivi, fra lor che il terzo cerchio sera, la rivedai più bella e meno altera.
Per mamni presidis, in questa spera serai anchor mico, as il deser non era, I son coliace ti de tanta guerra, e compe mia giornata inanzi sera. Neo ben non capen intelletto umano, te solo aspetto, e, quel che tanto amasti, e la giuso o rimeso Illinois mio bel velo.
De perci tac che ed a largo la mano? Chl swan de dedici pietosi e casti poco manco chio non rimasi in cielo. Dots. 9.
Dreams bore my fancy to that region where she dwells whom here I seek, but cannot see. Mid those who in the loftiest heaven be I looked on her, less haughty and more fair. She took my hand, she said, within this sphere, if hope deceive not, thou shalt dwell with me. I filled thy life with war's wild agony, mine own day closed ere evening could appear. My bliss no human thought can understand, I wait for thee alone, and that fair veil of beauty thou dost love shall yet retain. Why was she silent then? Why dropped my hand ere those delicious tones could quite avail to bid my mortal soul in heaven remain?
Dots. X.
Dulci durezi placid repulse, pin di casto amore e di pietate, legiadri stegni, che la mia infiammate vogli tempraro, or mi inaccorgo, insuls, genti parlar, in cio chiaro refulse con summa cortesia sama one state, fear di virtu, fontana di beltate, ch ugni basso pensier del cor emavulse, divino scardo, befar elio felice, or fiero in a freener lamentar dita a quel che justum and distis, or presto a conforter mia frail vita, questo bel verier fu la radis di mia salute, che
Ultramentera ida. Dots. X.
Gentle severity, repulses mild, full of chaste love and pity sorrowing, graceful rebukes, that had the power to bring back to itself a heart by dreams beguiled, a tender voice, whose accents undefiled held sweet restraints, all duty honoring, the bloom of virtue, purity's clear spring to cleanse away base thoughts and passions wild, divinest eyes to make a lover's bliss, whether to bridle in the wayward mind lest its wild wanderings should the pathway miss, or else its griefs to soothe, its wounds to bind. This sweet completeness of thy life it is which saved my soul, no other peace I find.
Dots. 11. Gli angeli eletti e l'anime beat cittadine del cielo Illinois primo giorno che Madonna passo, la fur intorno pin di meraviglia e di pietate. Che luce questa, e qual nova beltate?
Dicien tra lor, percebito si adorno dal mondo errante a quest'alto soggiorno non sali mai in tutta quest'etate.
Ella contenta of her cangiato albergo, si paragona per coi più perfetti, e part ad or esse volge turgo mirando se la seguo, e per chs betti, io vogli e pensier tutti il ciel ergo, perch'io lodo pregar per chi mf ready. Dots. 11.
The holy angels and the spirits blessed, celestial bands, upon that day serene when first my love went by in heavenly sheen, came thronging, wondering at the gracious guest. What light is here, in what new beauty drayest? They said among themselves, for none has seen within this age arrive so fair a mean from changing earth unto immortal rest. And she, contented with her newfound bliss, ranks with the perfect in that upper sphere, yet ever and anon looks back on this, to watch for me, as if for me she stayed. So strive my thoughts, lest that high heaven I miss. I hear her call, and must not be delayed.
Dots. 12. Dicimi spesso il mio fidato spelio, l'animo stanco e la cangiata scorza e la simata mia destrezza e forza, non ti nasconder più, tua supervelio. Abadira natura in tutto il meglio, cha contender con il tempo ni sforza. Subito aller, com'acqua il foco amorza, d'un lungo e grave sono mi risveglio, e veggio ben che il nostro viver vola, e chsr non si può più di una volta, e en mezzo il cior mi sona una parola di lei or dal sua bel noto seolta, ma nei suoi giorni il mondo fusi sola, a tutte, si non ero, fama ha tolta. Dots. 12. Oft by my faithful mirror I am told, and by my mind outworn and altered brow, my earthly powers impaired and weakened now, deceive thyself no more, for thou art old.
Who strives with nature's laws is overbold, and time to his commandment bids us bow. Like fire that waves have quenched, I calmly vow in life's long dream no more my sense to fold. And while I think, our swift existence flies, and none can live again earth's brief career, then in my deepest heart the voice replies of one who now has left this mortal sphere, but walked alone through earthly destinies, and of all women is to fame most dear.
Dots. 13.
Vego oggetto che cantando vai, over piangendo a il tuo tempo passato, vedendoti la nata e il verno olato, e il di dopo le spoglie ai messi guai, se come i tuoi gravosi affani sai, così sapessi il mio simile stato, resti in grembo a questo sconsolato e parter secco ai dolorosi guai. I non so se la part one seri in pari, che quella cui tu piangi e forse in vita, dchmi morti il ciel son tanto avari, ma la stagione il oramen gratita, col membra de dolci anni e degli amari, a parlar tico con pieta em vita.
Dots. 13.
Sweet wandering bird that singest on thy way, or mournest yet the time forever past, watching night come and spring receding fast, day's bliss behind thee and the season's day, if thou my griefs against thine own couldst weigh, thou couldst not guess how long my sorrows last, yet thou mightst hide thee from the wintry blast within my breast, and thus my pains allay. Yet may not all thy woes be named with mine, since she whom thou dost mourn may live, yet live, but death and heaven still hold my spirit's bride, and all those long past days of sad decline with all the joys remembered years can give still bid me ask sweet bird,
with me abide.
Dots.
14. La gola e il sano e elozios pum hano del mondo ogni virtu spandita, ogni del corso sua quasi smarrita nostra natura, vinta del costume, ed si spento ogni benino lum del ciel, per siois in forma umana vita, che per cosa mirabile assetita civil far di elicona nascer fume.
Qual vegezza di loro?
Qual di mirto?
Povera e nuda vai, filosofia, dice la tuba al vil guadagno intesa. Pochi compagni avrai per el ultravia, tanto ti prego più, gentile spirito, non lasciar la magnanima tua impressa.
Dots. 14.
Lust and dull slumber and the lazy hours have well nigh banished virtue from mankind. Hence have man's nature and his treacherous mind left their free course, and meshed in sin's soft bowers. The very light of heaven hath lost its powers mid fading ways our loftiest dreams to find, men jeer at him whose footsteps are inclined where helicon from dewy fountains showers.
Who seeks the laurel? Who the myrtle twines?
Wisdom, thou goest a beggar and unclad, so scoffs the crowd, intent on worthless gain.
Few are the hearts that prize the poet's lines, yet, friend, the more I hail thy spirit glad. Let not the glory of thy purpose wane. Dots. 15.
Voiciac ascoltate in rhyme sparse il suono di che sospiri ane ona driva il cor in sol mio primo giovanile error, quant era in part ultrium de quel ci sono, del vario style, in cio piango e regiono fra levane speranza il van dolor, ovesse ci per prova intenda amore, spiro trovar pieta, non che perdano. Ma ben veggi, or, si come al popol tutto fabula fui gran tempo, onde savant di me medesmo mico mi vergagno, e del mio venegier vergagna il fruto, e el pentersi, e el conoscer chiaramente che quanto pies al mondo e breve sogno.
Dots. 15.
O ye who trace through scattered verse the sound of those long sighs wherewith I fed my heart amid youth's errors, when in greater part that man unlike this present man was found, for the mixed strain which here I do compound of empty hopes and pains that vainly start, whatever soul hath truly felt love smart, with pity and with pardon will abound. But now I see full well how long I earned all men's reproof, and oftentimes my soul lies crushed by its own grief, and it doth seem for such misdeed shame as the fruitage whole, and wild repentance and the knowledge learned that worldly joy is still a short, short dream.
Dots.
430 copies printed at the Riverside Press, Cambridge, in the month of September. Nchi.
Number 426. Colophon.
Transcriber's note: below is a list of printer errors that have been corrected in the Italian sonnets, by reference to the 1964 critical edition of Il Canzoniere edited by Gianfranco Contini, available at Liber. The translator of this book probably used as his source an edition in which spelling and punctuation were somewhat modernized. These modernizations have not been altered in this ebook. Spacing of elisions, such as ch ascolti, has been normalized. The original book was printed almost entirely in italics, which are not marked as such in this e-text.
Printer errors in the English introduction have been corrected without note. Sonnet line error correction 210a udendo 314 413 64 612 cc 79 dogli adolio 89 The sonnets in this book correspond to the following numbers in Il Canzoniere. This book Il Canzoniere I 162 Lieti Fiore 2167 Quando Amor 3227 Ora che quel Chiom 4261 Qual Donna Atten V 161 O Passi Sparsi 6156 I. Vidi Intera 7292 Gliacci di Cio Parlai 8294 Soliasi nel mio CR 9302 Lavami el mio pensier x 351 Dulci Derez 11346 Gli Angeli Aletti 12361 Dicimi Spesso 13353 Vago Augiletto 147 La Gole El Sano 151 Voici Ascoltate.